Hi guys, it's Richard here again with a rare video these days, but I've been inspired to make one about delusion because it's been a theme of my life, well, almost a theme. I've been studying the kind of nature of reality and mental processes and sociology and how groups work and how people function and so forth since the age of 8 all my life, and beyond that since the age of 10 I've been studying the mechanisms of mind, how we think and learn stuff in particular. I've been very concerned about the mass nature of people. These large groups are just frankly idiots. You're being bullshit. There's simply no other way of putting it. It's completely bonkers idiots. There was an amazing couple in a video recently on I think it's Politics Joe channel. A couple who were poor going to a food bank and praising the Tories. It's just unbloody believable. And yet there it was, you know. And the fundamental problem is this. I'm sure of this. Our brains have to have mental maps of the world in our minds, whatever they are. I'm not sure whether this intelligence possesses us or we possess it. We tend to think the latter way, but what is it that's doing the thinking? So these minds, whatever they are, have to have these mental maps in order to navigate around the world. Because all the brains know directly is the sensory experiences of the body, channeled to it via nerves. That's all it knows. The brain itself has no direct sensory awareness that I know of. What it might do, actually, consciousness is aware of something, whatever that is, a kind of sense, obviously. You have to have that to sense things. Well, getting a bit complex, but the point is the mental maps have to be made, and being models of the world, they are inherently inaccurate. They're abstract, very fuzzy things indeed. So like Plato's chair, if you know about that, you can think of a chair of some kind. There's two in my room right now. One is a big red one with big chunky arms. The other is a black office chair. Still chairs, but they're both very different in appearance. So they've got two arms and a seat and a back, and they're arranged in a way that they clearly can be set upon. So that's the kind of core construct which corresponds to all chairs, I believe, and gravity causes it to be placed on the floors typically, and typically within or next to walls, within buildings next to walls, or around a desk, whatever. There's various configurations. But these mental maps are based on our experiences, and they're all meshed together over years and years from birth, or before birth even. And because babies can learn about sounds and hear sounds before they're born. So these mental maps are made continuously, especially during childhood, but continuously reinforced via experiences. So that if you move house, for example, which I have done recently, I then have to update my map of the world to include this new house and the garden and so forth, and the routes to shops and such like. So always learning new things. But the learning, what we act upon, is the direct knowledge that our consciousness has of the mental map, which is an indirect version of physical reality as we perceive it outside our bodies, or even our bodies, even whatever we perceive. Because what does perceiving is the physical part of the body which can't itself perceive, can't perceive itself directly. So yeah, I think delusion, being delusional, is inevitable. It's part of human nature. We have to believe stuff to we have to have habitual thinking in order to permit successful operation in the world, to live effectively. Sorry. Getting lost now. Yes, the delusion is inevitable because habitual thinking is required in many cases, like walking or driving or speaking or whatever. There are habits involved. We don't actually have to think about every step that we take. That might be useful. Being mindful might be useful one day. But normally we just don't bother. We just take the steps. And somehow the thoughts in our head say, "I want to go to the shops," means the body knows how to actually physically walk to the shops. And some of these thoughts get translated into physical reality. The thoughts themselves are not physically tangible, it seems. So what they are is a bit strange. Another dimension, perhaps. Who knows? The delusion is inevitable. I'm convinced of this. It's just part of. It's one in psychology that you get these conditions where, say, a young woman, a teenager, sees herself as being perhaps fat and ugly. When you actually sees herself in the mirror, she literally sees a fat and ugly version of her, a distorted version of her. Literally sees that. Her mental map is so distorted, so warped. And yet, other people who see her might see her, well, okay, overweight, as many people are, but still attractive. This is a well-known phenomenon. And anorexia is the extreme version, I suppose, where women starve themselves to near death. So they literally see themselves as being normal. They don't see the thin version of themselves. They're that delusional. And it's just part of human nature. It's literally part of human nature. We're born with it. We are delusional beings. All of us. All of us have this built-in kind of danger. This mistake-making machine. We all make mistakes. It's just I think it's part of evolution. We need to make mistakes in order to be able to take risks, and we need to take risks in order to be able to explore. And we need to explore in order to find out new food sources and so forth. So it's part of evolution is about making mistakes. Is evolutionary, useful thing to do. It gets a bit mixed up in reality, so it's not that useful. But apparently that's the theory that I know of. The reason we make mistakes so much. Well, it's largely because the maps are defective. That's the main reason. But it's also because we have a kind of built-in tendency to try out things. We have a try and error approach to life. Just built in. Some people do it more than most, or others. But again, we all make mistakes. That's the point. Whatever the reason, we make mistakes. and we believe in stuff that just isn't quite correct. And if you study psychology, as the Nazis did, I think it was Goebbels, Dr. Goebbels, who was the Minister of Truth. There was a propaganda expert. At a time when mass media was taking off, the Nazis introduced radios, free radios for the populace, so that they could all hear the official government news and entertainment or whatever, the official broadcasting channel, the state broadcaster. A bit like the BBC is now, in fact. And what they discovered, and has since been reinforced many times literally by advertising, is that if you repeat a statement as if it is true, as actors do, then the brain can be fooled into believing that it actually is true. It doesn't matter whether the statement is false or not. This is the point. It could be a total lie, but appear to be true, simply because the context, the channel, is already established in your head as being honest and sound and valid, and therefore, by habit, we can trust the channel, no matter what occurs on that channel later on. The path has been established of this channel is sound and good, therefore whatever they say, whoever appears on there, must be worth paying attention to, especially when I'm dozing after a fucking meal and anything, and literally switching on the news like entertainment. More budget and more good. It's all, maybe not deliberate, but it's all propaganda. This repetition, sure sign of propaganda, and it's aimed at those who are ignorant, who by default are delusional, because we all are, we tend to be. And so the repetition sticks in their heads because they trust the sources, they trust the government in particular. Should not do so, of course, but they do. The government should be the least trustworthy channel of all, because it's prone to corruption. True of all governments in all nations, all prone to corruption, because there's power, and where the power you'll find other people try to get access to the power for their own ends. Just, again, human nature, it seems. Sad but true. And so if you know how to play the game, the mind games, then you can win. You persuade the entire population to vote for you, even though you may be kind of nasty. Just lying through your teeth all the time. People still vote for you if they think you're honest and you're kind of like them. And the people in charge, the ones who are really in charge, the media people, know this. They know about human nature. They know about delusion, the tendency for people to believe in bullshit. They know from experience. We've got plenty of evidence. Plenty. Said taught to the trade, really, for some of them. And so they just pump out the bullshit day after day to their captive audience, the Sun readers, for example. Yeah, they bloody buy it. They buy the bullshit. Literally buy the bullshit. And the others are happy because they're geeked by the bullshit. The whole system is actually fucking sick. It's mental madness, just mayhem and malaise. And it's world bloody wide. This delusion, this tendency towards insanity is bloody worldwide. There's groups everywhere just bloody bonkers. We see it in the USA, we see it in this country, we see it in Australia, and in China, Russia, and all over the fucking place. These groups of people are just insane. Because they're all delusional. They all believe, they need to believe to belong. Another important point, they need to believe in order to belong. And we all needed to belong, that's human nature too, therefore they need to believe. Which is why you get religion. More delusion, more mass insanity. I'm not denying God by any means, being conscious exists, whatever that is. It's a fact, for me at least. But religion, this need to believe and belong to a church and to worship some kind of deity that is invisible, or whatever they say it is, it's bonkers. Bloody bonkers. And it leads to conflict and wars and God knows what kind of division, because it's all just totally insane. I've done a video before on homelessness. That's just evil. You've got this barbaric practice occurring worldwide, and hardly anyone gives a shit. There's a climate crisis. That's utterly insane, that is. How the fuck can people not give a toss about that? It's just bloody amazing. And then things like Brexit, which is also just utterly, God almighty, talk about shooting at their feet. This country's crippled now for decades. Just ruined. Because some tossers in charge kept repeating the same message over and over again via the mass media, BBC in particular, the Trusted Channel. The EU is bad, we should leave, control our borders, i.e. stop all the people into this country who should not be here because we're here. This is our land. Which is true in a sense, of course, but the fact remains we've got agreements to help with refugees, and we also need people to help with jobs because we haven't got enough well-trained people here to do the jobs, and so on and so forth. So it's all bloody insanity, and I'm damn sure the people in charge know how to play the game. I'm certain of this. They know how to play this game, and they aren't telling for obvious reasons. But I also know how to play that game, and I'm telling. Delusion is fucking dangerous, and they know it.